And I think that combat paper, allows for former members of the service or current members to take their uniform that they served in, and they have all these memories and these experiences in, and no matter how they feel about it, whether they're confused or angry or they're happy and whatever, they pulp it and then they basically rinse it with water. Every fiber gets rinsed several times through the process of making paper. Drew Cameron came back from the war in Iraq in 2004 and took a paper making class with me, and I was teaching at a community college. And so Drew then said, well, I have these uniforms, so I want to pulp them. How do I do it? Can we pulp polyester and cotton? And he didn't just cut it up, like sit down and cut it up. He actually cut it from his body. And so it was a very symbolic act for him. And then he made paper with it and started to share the paper with fellow veterans as he traveled around the country. I think he did like a big road trip with his VW van. And the places he traveled, he would give people paper from his uniform, and they were all vets. And so all the veterans that he ran into were like, oh, I'd love to do this. And so he had a core group of people that were kind of coming and going. And so I was like, do you think that it would be worth looking into trying to do this as a workshop? So, veterans bring in their uniforms. They bring them in, they cut the buttons off. They start by cutting the buttons off the uniforms, the zippers. That stuff is separated and put aside because that's not pulpable. The uniform itself is kind of laboriously taken and cut into about postage-size stamps. From there, the uniform pieces are taken and they're put into a Hollander beater. So the wheel spins with these blades and it actually pounds the fiber and separates the weave. So it liberates the fiber from the weave and suspends it in water, and allows us to then take the slurry from the beater and put it into a vat. Mold and decal are dipped into the vat, pulled through the pulp, and then pulled horizontally out of the vat and shaken side to side and to and from until the pulp settles on the screen and the water is completely drained off. So you then take that layer of pulp that's settled on the screen and you do what's called couching, couching the sheet. And so couching is from the French word coucher, which is to lay down or put to rest. After couching the paper, you create what's called a stack, and that's just basically a pile of interfacing and wet sheets of paper between interfacing. You put a board on top of the stack. What we did at TxState was we brought it down into the technology building where they had a hydraulic press, and you can actually peel the sheet off and hang it to dry. And so what we primarily did for drying was to leave the pieces of paper sandwiched between the pieces of Pellon, and then we just hung them using clothesline here at this bed and breakfast. I think one of the biggest things that stands out, that happened while we were here at TxState was how many veterans came by and felt comfortable kind of engaging with the community, the non-veteran community, say other students. And I think the thing that I learned here with all the different veterans that came out and engaged in the conversation and really kind of were like totally supporting it, was that the veterans themselves helped us all claim that space on the quad as a safe zone, so anybody could come in and be a part of it. And I think that was extremely unique to TxState.